Musashi says he wants to be the strongest man alive, but listen to the actual phrase he carries for 30 years. Strongest under the sun, not strongest. Strongest under the sun, under something that watches. A title, not a state. Titles have to be granted. He didn't want to be the strongest. He wanted to be seen as it. And that difference cost him 3 decades of his life. It starts with his father. Musashi was a swordsman of real standing, and what he gives Takezo isn't a low opinion. It's something worse. His first experience of strength as judgment. The important thing isn't that Musashi assessed his son objectively and found him lacking. It's that Takezo grows up beneath the judgment of a man whose entire authority rests on being strong. So weakness stops being a physical condition and becomes something else. Humiliating, disqualifying, the thing that makes you lesser in another person's eyes. That's the currency he's handed as a child. Strength and being worth something are the same thing, and both are decided by someone watching. Then the village does the rest. He becomes the demon child, the wild thing, the boy people cross the road to avoid. And notice what that does. It doesn't teach him he's unloved. It teaches him he's misread, that when people look at him, they see a threat rather than a person. So he takes the only offer the world makes him and decides to become the largest possible version of the thing they already fear. That's the wound underneath everything, not ambition. A boy who learned that strength is a verdict other people issue, trying to force one out of them. And here's what makes it a wound rather than a motivation. A person who wants to be strong can get there and rest. A person who needs to be seen as strong can never rest, because the seeing has to be renewed by every new pair of eyes. It's not a goal. It's a debt with no principle. He carries it for 30 years. It drags behind him through every duel in the story. For a long stretch, he doesn't know it's there. The dragging feels like drive. Then Kohei, Tsujikaze Kohei, the man who later fights him under the name Shishido Baiken, is not an old man who let a grudge eat his life. He's a contemporary, and his grudge is stranger than revenge. Takezo killed his brother Tenma. Kohei comes for him, but not out of grief. He comes because Takezo took a kill that Kohei wanted for himself. Sit with that for a second. Kohei's entire orientation toward the world is a score. And the score isn't even a loss he mourns. It's an entitlement that got interfered with. Everything he is exists in relation to someone else. Raised by the brother he wanted to murder, mutilated by him, defined by him, and finally robbed of him. He is a man with enormous skill and no center, pure reaction. And that's the first time Musashi looks at someone and sees the shape of his own condition from the outside. Not a warning about wasted decades. Kohei isn't old enough for that, which makes it worse. A man his own age, already hollowed out by needing something from someone else, holding a blade with real mastery in it and nothing underneath. He isn't a cautionary figure the story delivers with narration. He's a mirror Musashi happens to look into mid-fight, and that's the first crack. Not a revelation, not a change of heart, a recognition. Something in him registers that the thing driving him might not be strength at all. Watch what happens after the Yoshioka too, because it's the same lesson at a larger scale. 70 men, the most spectacular victory of his life. The kind of feat that makes a legend, exactly what he'd been demanding from the world. And he feels nothing, That's the diagnostic. If what you wanted was strength, standing over the Yoshioka is the summit. If what you wanted was to be seen, then it's just 70 more men who can no longer look at you. Now, the comparison that reveals the whole thing. And this is where you see it most clearly, because Kojiro doesn't have the wound at all. He's not stronger than Musashi in some simple way. He's lighter. All the noise Musashi carries, the doubt, the self-questioning, the constant internal audit of whether he's enough yet, whether that duel counted, whether anyone noticed. None of it exists in Kojiro. There's no committee in his head. He isn't fighting the world's opinion of him because he never learned to hear it in the first place. Kojiro is deaf. And I want to be careful with this because Inoue never tells us that the deafness is why Kojiro lacks Musashi's hunger for recognition. He simply lets the two conditions sit side by side. But what the deafness does is place him at an angle to the world of witnesses, not outside other people's gaze. People watch Kojiro constantly, outside much of the verbal machinery through which reputation and identity get made. The talk, the ranking, the names people call you, the story the world tells about who you are. He isn't inside that. And the result is the thing that matters. Kojiro moves through the world without continually converting experience into a story about himself. No running commentary, no audit. His skill developed the way a plant grows toward light, without an audience keeping score. And that's why he's so far ahead of Musashi, and why Musashi can't stand it. Kojiro didn't earn his freedom from the need for recognition. He simply never contracted it. He's what Musashi would be if he removed the wound and left everything else. So, when they meet, Musashi is looking at a man who has the thing he's been chasing, and got it by not chasing anything. That's unbearable. It means the entire method was wrong. Every duel, every mile, every year of hauling that need behind him bought him distance from the very thing he wanted. Kojiro never doubted himself. Musashi doubted himself constantly. Not because he lacked skill, but because the recognition he'd organized his life around never arrived in a form that satisfied him. It couldn't. Nothing granted by other people ever does. Which is why the farming arc works, and why it doesn't look like a cure while it's happening. Nothing about that arc addresses strength. He doesn't train. He doesn't duel. He grows food badly at first and fails and starts again, and the story slows to a crawl. But look at what's absent there. An audience. A field has no witnesses. There's no title to win, nobody keeping score, no verdict being withheld. For the first time in his life, Musashi is doing something difficult, where being seen doing it is completely irrelevant. The rice doesn't care, the village doesn't watch, and the work either feeds people or it doesn't. That's the actual medicine, not humility as a lesson, removal of the audience. And by the end of it, the need isn't gone. I don't think the story claims that. There's a remnant, something quieter, but still there. He goes back to the world, and there are still duels ahead of him. What's changed is the weight. The thing that dragged behind him for 30 years is now something he carries rather than something that carries him. That's honest, and it's more useful than a clean recovery would be. The need for recognition doesn't get cured, it gets demoted. Here's why any of this matters outside a manga. There's a difference between wanting to be good at something and wanting to be seen as good at it, and the two feel almost identical from the inside. Both produce effort. Both produce discipline. Both look like ambition from the outside, but one of them can be satisfied and one of them can't. If the goal is skill, there's a floor under you. You get better, and the getting better is the payment. If the goal is recognition, the floor never arrives, because every audience is temporary and every verdict expires. You do the work, and the moment it's acknowledged, the acknowledgement stops counting, and you need the next one. That's the debt with no principle. That's what dragged Musashi for 3 decades. And the tell is simple. Would you still do it if nobody could see? Not would you enjoy it less? Would you do it at all? Because that question separates the two motivations instantly, and most of us don't like the answer the first time we ask. Kojiro would still do it. He was already doing it, alone, before anyone noticed. Musashi needed 30 years and a rice field to find out. The strongest man in Vagabond spends the entire story dragging something heavier than any opponent. Not the sword, not the enemies. The need to have it acknowledged. He was measured as a child and found lacking, and he spent his life trying to force a verdict out of a world that was never going to deliver one in the form he needed. Every victory bought him a moment of it. None of the moments lasted, and the man who was always ahead of him got there by never needing to be seen at all. That's the quiet cruelty of Vagabond. The thing Musashi wanted most, to be recognized as the strongest under the sun, was the exact thing standing between him and being it. Build quietly. Walk your path.